Recording in progress.
Hello, welcome to the Peak Endurance Coaching. No, oh my God, the Peak Endurance Podcast.
Okay,
We're getting better and better.
Next week I'll do it.
Yeah, maybe you should. We just had a discussion who should do it, and I said, I'll do it, and then I just mucked it up. But
Hello and welcome to the Peak Endurance Podcast.
it's because we were talking about our Peak Endurance Coaching talks, whether we should have them on, but I said it's fine, and then yes. Anyway,
So-
welcome one and all to the circus that is the Peak Endurance Podcast.
So this is your host, Isabel Tate,
That's me.
and this is your other host, Ron Tate.
Now, I wanted to read a little, oops, that's the wrong one, Spotify. Sandra wrote us a review. Thanks, Sandra. I just can't remember where to find it now. And it was on Spotify. So we really appreciate that. And she said, this was about the 9 things runners over 50 should not do. And she wrote, another absolute perler. The banter just keeps getting better, leaving me in hysterics. That's good. And God, did I relate to all those things to not do in your 50s. Love the shit out of my rest days. Eagerly awaiting the next podcast. So thank you, Sandra. She's always very keen about our podcast, yes. And I really appreciate that.
I'm glad our relationship amuses other people.
Yes. Yes. You should hear us when we don't have a microphone.
Oh, we're hilarious.
Oh, we're even funnier. Oh, we are. I'm just a bit tired today.
Yeah.
As per usual. I just had a massage, to be fair. So I only just got home after the massage. So that's why my eyes, if you're watching the YouTube, is a little bit, because I've had my face squished into the massage table. And I'm feeling a little, I don't know. What do you feel? What do I feel? I don't know.
What do you feel? You feel
I feel
like
post-massagey. Yeah. So, update since last week. Well, there's not a lot to update because we didn't really do much.
Well,
yeah, we were at Bulla.
Yeah.
And we kind of did the recording while we're at Bulla, so we don't really have anything to say.
That's true. What day did we do it? Was it
Saturday?
Saturday. Okay.
Saturday.
Yeah. So not a lot has happened since then.
No, because Sunday we didn't run. Monday I didn't run. God.
Yeah. So
for you bagging me for not having rest days.
Yeah, that's right.
I've taken a lot of rest days.
Finally paying off.
Yeah. So back into it for my last big week of training. Tomorrow we are going out to Mount Donna Buang, and we are going to do 3 of the trail climbs, and so that will be 45 k's because it's 7.5 each way, with about 3,200 meters of climbing.
Yeah, that sounds about
and
right.
It'll take a fair few hours because last time I did this it took at least 9 hours or something. So
and it's going to be pretty warm tomorrow.
And it's Leech City. Yeah, it's going to be 34 degrees supposedly, but maybe a bit cooler there, more like 30.
Yeah.
And it's Leech City. Have you packed the Bushmans?
No, I haven't actually.
Oh my God.
I will have to go and hunt that down.
I'm going to get my gaiters because those scary leeches climbing up my shoes. Like honestly, I could hear the doon-it music when they were climbing up my shoes. It was just funny. Frightening.
When I was looking at them, I was hearing doing doing. That's what they looked like a slinky.
They did look like a slinky, but I still felt like I was getting stalked by a shark kind of situation.
Yeah.
So yes, Bushman's is imperative because I don't like taking medication, and I was taking antihistamines for a few days after. I reckon that's part of the reason I got out of it fairly lightly, and I'm slathering my legs in cortisone, which is not particularly good for you anyway. So yes.
Yeah, so no, I will go out and try and find the Bushmans.
Is there not some in the car?
No, there's none in the car.
I'm sure we've got some somewhere because we had a couple of, because I've bought it before, you've bought it.
We had it, I know it was in our camping tub because that's when we've used it in the past. So I think I'll just have to find the camping tub.
Yes.
Or one off. We have a few.
Yes.
And as soon as I find that, I'm pretty sure I'll find the Bushmans.
Yes, you will. No doubt. So yes, we're going to do that, and we have the car kind of as an aid station, and it all works really well. I was on the massage table, and I'm like, Steve, give me my phone, and I quickly messaged Ron, gets a bottle of Coke for the aid station, the car aid station.
Yes.
So Ron got the Coke.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so we've got that.
So yeah, it'll be a big day with lots of climbing.
And then the next day, 6 Libid repeats. Are you going to do that?
I will see how I pull off.
Oh, mentally or physically?
Um, that's a good question, actually.
Because a lot of the times you don't do that with me because you couldn't be asked
Yeah,
and you don't want to.
but also it's because I haven't particularly done a long run for the week, which
And yes, true. But also you also haven't done lots of hills. So for you to do 3,200 on Saturday and then 1,500 on Sunday, you
might,
might be a little bit
yeah,
dogsy.
I might actually end up sitting down the bottom waiting for you,
Probably.
which
I
I have
mean,
done
you
in the
could
past.
just, run, just a general run. You could. You could.
Yeah.
Yes. So we shall have to figure that one out. But I think tomorrow night we'll be coming home. Normally I'd like to have a bath, but maybe we should hop in the river before because there's a
Oh
river
yeah,
down the
yes,
bottom,
of course, yes, and it'll be if
boiling
it's
hot.
warm, so it might be yeah,
Mm,
it might be a good idea.
yes. Anyway, so many choices, so
Hmm.
many fun things to do. A whole day running.
Yeah, yay.
Yeah, like like it'll be longer than a work day probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Oh,
Hmm.
anyway, that's all right. The things we do. Now, the reason, of course, I'm doing all this climbing is because it's specific to the race that I'm
That's
going to
right.
be going to, which is a hilly race. So, what we're talking about today, ta-da, is
Training specificity.
God damn, I got you
That's
to
a
say it so I
great
wouldn't stuff
that's
up
a
the word.
great word.
It is
Specificity.
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 Mm.
Um, yes, the training specificity.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. So that is when you adapt your training to the event that you were training for, because not all running is equal. So I've got a hilly race coming up. So running on the flat is great, but it's probably not going to prepare me for the level of hills.
Mm.
In saying that, I won 6 foot track when I was training for a sub 3 hour marathon. And I was doing one trail run a week, but I was mainly doing fast. And not every week did I do a trail run. I was doing fast, lots of speed work. But to be fair, 6 foot track, it's hilly, but it's not mountainous.
And it's net downhill. I mean, I don't.
Yes,
I
yes.
know
But still, you want to have hill legs.
the stuff that we have run together, which is the only time I've run that course. It was quite runnable.
Yes. And a lot of
So
it, especially over the pluviometer, is quite runnable.
yeah.
So you need, for that kind of a race, even though it's hills, you want to get super fast
Mm.
and you want to get super fit. And sometimes being super fit will help you to run the hills faster if they're kind of, although some of the hills were not runnable. I'm telling you, I walked the hills when I won it.
But
That was
that.
after the bridge.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
that's
didn't
right.
do that
Yeah.
section.
No,
Um,
I can only talk about up to the bridge
yeah,
because we
no,
didn't
no,
go
no,
any further.
no, no. After that is where the hills
Mm.
start, the big hills.
Yeah.
So, but I had not done a heap of hills, but because I was super fit, that sort of got me through the rest of it, right? So being fit obviously is always the goal. It doesn't matter what race you're doing. Being fit is the goal, which is why we get our athletes not to train on trails all the time, because although trails are great for fitness, they're not great for speed. So you want to have lots of big fitness, where you're doing quality sessions. Even people training for 100 milers, 200 milers, anything should still be doing speed work because you need to be fit. The fitter you are, the easier everything else becomes. But you do need to do specific training if you're doing a particularly hilly, I almost said heavy, what the fuck, hilly course. So I am, because you've got to prepare your body, not just for the uphills, but a lot of the preparation is for the downhills, because that's actually the hardest part
Yeah.
on the body,
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, the uphills, yeah, they're hard work. And you've got to train them. I think the uphills is more mental training, just getting used to the grind and the slog and the sheer misery. And then the downhills, you've got to prepare your legs for the pain and the agony,
Yeah.
because it's a lot harder on the legs. And you've also got to learn to pace the downhills so that you don't sprint and smash out your quads and then the next climb is a death march.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
there's a lot to be learned with hills. Sorry, I
And
keep
it is.
interrupting. Do I?
Yes, you do.
Am I
You are. Okay.
interrupting you a
Yes,
lot?
you are. So
But Ron,
it's good to work on your leg strength in the gym, but
yes,
there is
absolutely.
no substitute
Yeah.
for running in the hills
Yeah.
or for training in the hills.
And that is, the best specific leg strength. Yes,
Yeah.
and I would agree. You're right. You should still do weights because that's also strengthening your tendons, your ligaments, and just general core. You want to have a strong core for hills too.
Yeah.
And for instance, if you're doing a race with lots of sand, you want a strong core. And if you're doing a race with lots of sand, guess where you should be training?
On the sand?
On some sand. I
Yes.
wouldn't do too much. Yeah,
Oh,
well done.
thank you.
And obviously, once again, if you're doing a sandy race, you're not going to train 6 days a week in the sand, just
No.
like you don't train 6 days a week on the trails. Still want to do the bulk of your training on the roads during the week, do some trails on the weekend, and do some sand. Like I would get my athletes to do a long run on Saturday in the hills, and then like a shorter run, 10Ks in the sand if they can.
Yeah.
And then I also say in the long runs, if you have the ability to add some sand in the middle of the run, like if you run near Listerfield, that's a national park, a state park, whatever, I don't know. It's a park, forest, bushland, whatever.
I think it might be a regional park.
Yeah, I don't know. What's the difference between state? I'm confuddled.
Mm.
So it's a big grassy, bushy area.
Yep.
Right. And there's a beachy thing there. So you could run there and then do a few laps along the beach bit, and then keep running, that sort of thing. When we have clients training for UTA, we get them to do stair sessions, like a second session of the day. But then we also say on their long runs, if you can incorporate some stairs in there, that's really important. And once again, Stairmasters, people go, oh, but can I use a Stairmaster? Yeah, that's great, except you're not getting the down hills on the stairs.
Yeah.
And running down on stairs, oh, that's tough on your knees. You want to have trained that before the race.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you
and
say?
It takes a lot of focus as well.
Yeah, because you don't want to be slipping down. I've slipped down before. God almighty, and banged my that bone at your bottom of your spine, and I was in agony for like 3 months. So you don't want to be doing that in the middle of a race.
No, that's right.
Sorry, I drank water then and it was really glugged. So I apologize to all the people with their headphones in going, oh, I think I'm going to vomit. What was that noise? So whatever you're training for, look at the course. Is it lots of technical single track? Is it lots of steep hills? Is there lots of sand? Is it really rocky? Is it lots of stairs? Is it net downhill? Is it net uphill? These sorts of things you need to look at and extrapolate it out into your training.
That's a good point as well. Looking and on a slightly different issue, looking at the course before you do the race. And in some cases, quite a while before you do the race, to specify your training, but also knowing what you're in for before you start. So many people get out there and go, "Oh, I had no idea it was so hilly."
Yeah,
there's no excuse for that. You should know how hilly it is because you'll have looked at your course notes.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
If you're not aware of how hilly a race is before you start it, then
that's on you.
Yeah, that's on you. You've done yourself a disservice.
Yeah. And yes, you should always look at the course and have a basic idea of where the course goes, because, I mean, as we know from that race in Austria, people take the bunting down because it's not ecological. So, you can't always rely on confidence markers. You should know, not the exact course necessarily, but the basics of, this is where we're kind of going to go. So at least have some sort of idea if you're off course. Like we're not running on the roads. It's not a marathon on the roads where you know exactly where to go.
Yeah.
There is some self-responsibility, but we're getting into another whole area now. We're almost getting to safety. And I'm not big on that. But it is still part of training specifically for a race is looking at the course, because you also need to figure out how long is it between aid stations. You can't say, oh, it's 10Ks between aid stations. That'll be approximately an hour, because what if there's a, 800-meter climb in there, as in 800 meters of ascent? That's going to slow things down. So you need to look at the course, figure out how that's going to affect your time over the course.
That's right.
All sorts of things. And that's what you need to think about in your training too. Like, have a look at the course and then try to mimic it in training as much as possible. It's not always possible, but, it can be done. I remember when I went to do the first time I represented Australia at the World Long Distance Mountain Running Championships at this marathon, which I'm trying so hard to remember. in Switzerland, and we ran up the Jungfrau Marathon, and we ran up the Jungfrau Mountain, but which, you'd think you want to train climbing. The first 10 Ks were on the flat.
Yeah.
So I would do my long runs with, like the first portion on the flat fast, and then we would start heading into the hills. Well, not race fast, but faster than you would for a normal, trail long run. And then I would head to the hills because I was trying to mimic the race. So, and that also means you've got to think about it. Like if the race has got, 3,000 meters of elevation in it, but the first 20 Ks is flat, that means all that 3,000 meters of elevation is in the latter stages. So it's actually, you can't say, oh, well, it's only 3,000 meters. It's 3,000 meters of climbing in 50K. Actually, no, if the first 20 is flat, or like Ultra Adelaide with the first, last 20 are flat, that means all that climbing's in that 20K portion or 30K portion, which is completely different.
Yeah, that's right.
So you need to think about that sort of thing too. Don't just look at just the elevation, but also look at where the elevation is.
Yeah, that's right. And Ultra Adelaide is a good example of that. If you looked at the overall, 2,000 meters over 50 Ks,
it's not that
that's
bad.
not too bad.
And the first year we did that, we didn't we knew there was bike path at the end, but we didn't think about it.
Yeah.
And we didn't take our poles. And then we got there and we're like, holy crap, we could do with some poles.
It was the 2,000 meters in 30 kilometers.
Yes, that's right, which is a bit different.
And the final, because we followed the river, the final 20 Ks was just a nice flat.
And when you say nice,
well, flat,
I mean horrible.
No, but I mean flat, predominantly downhill because it followed the river.
Yes,
So, you've really got to actually look at the climbing profile to see, what sort of training you need to do to mimic what you're going to see on the race day.
But I mean, if it's just a generally up and down course, then that's fine. Just do general up and down. And obviously, if you're training for something like UTMB or CCC or Tour de Géant, where they have 15, 20 kilometer climbs and then corresponding descents, clearly in Australia, you can't train for that. So you just do the best you can. Ultimately, you can't always mimic the race. So you just do the best you can with what you've got. That's all you can do at the end of the day, isn't it? So, and if it's a predominantly sort of like go-to, I hate calling it that, guy or Surf Coast Century, which is undulating but highly runnable, then you'd want to be doing most of your training just flat and undulating and really getting super fit. For those sort of races, you just want to be fit and fast because there's no hills to speak of.
That's right. Most of the hills are runnable.
Yeah.
And the ones that aren't runnable are really short.
Yeah, and then you can just walk up them pretty quick. I mean, I know when I did go and I came second and I did in 11 hours 45 or 50 or so, I don't know, something. I mean, I walked parts of the flats sections, when I was getting knackered. It was only my second 100, so I didn't really fully know how to pace it. I obviously went out too fast, but I still walked. Just because it's not super hilly doesn't mean you're not going to walk. In 100K, you're still going to want to walk because it's a long time not to change muscle groups if it's on the flat. And so always for long distance, you should be training walking because that's specific to long distance. So you should be training to walk fast. And one really good way to do that is to go to your local shopping centre in, maybe during the school holidays when there's heaps of annoying people around, and just march around trying to get past people, walking as fast as you can. Like, give yourself a time limit. You've got to get all your shopping done in like 30 minutes. And you've got to go from end to end of the shopping. That'll teach you to walk super fast.
That's right.
And be good at elbowing.
It's a lot of fun. You start at one end, you press the timer, and you go from one end to the other as fast as you can, and then turn around and repeat it the other way and see which way goes faster.
That's right. Yeah. So
without knocking anyone down, that's the challenge.
Is it though? Or is that part of the fun? Anyway, I remember that when I won 6 foot, I remember walking up a hill, and I was walking fast, and I remember thinking, this is the walking faster in Knox City has finally paid off. So I always think of that, like, walk as if you're walking through a shopping centre, but with all those idiots who can't walk fast. Anyway, that's just that's just
also another way to do it is to get out in front, and then you're running scared the whole way. So when you walk,
I've done that
fast.
tactic a lot.
Yeah.
Running scared is great. Even if it's just, someone a friend of yours that you want to beat kind of thing. But,
Yeah.
and when I say friend, I mean they're your enemy in the race,
Frenemy.
but they're your
Yeah.
friend after. But yeah, so it's so important. And once again, the most specific thing to do well in a running race is running.
Running. Oh,
Like,
okay.
seriously. So
I didn't know
because
where
I
you were
see a
going with
lot
it.
of people going, and I'm really into cross training. Like, I do believe in the value of it. We've done a podcast on it.
Yep.
That if you're injury prone, then it's great to do some cycling or those sorts of things. But I get a lot of people going, oh, should I add some elliptical? And should I do this? And it's like, but why?
Mm.
Oh, just to get fitter. Well, no.
Running will get you fitter.
Running will get you fitter. If you are not prone to injury and you enjoy running, run. That's actually the best. There's a big correlation between greater volume and running success. Okay. So run. That is the best training of all, unless you are injury prone or I don't know what other reason there would be. Then do something else, and that's fine. But ultimately, running is the best training for running.
Yeah.
It's the same with all sports. You wouldn't train for swimming by going for a run. You wouldn't train for cycling by going for a run. It's very specific. And strength training and yoga and those sorts of things, well, like we discussed in the cross training, they're not really cross training. They're supplemental. They're actually necessary for your running to be enabled. I got those words around the wrong way, but to enable your running.
Yeah.
So you do actually want to do them, but they're supplemental. They're not cross training. They're not there to replace running. They're there to bolster it.
Yeah.
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 And yeah, I mean, you did when you were injured, you did a lot of swimming, but would you say that got you as fit as running?
No,
No.
absolutely not.
Swimming
I
definitely.
only did it because I couldn't run. So
Yeah.
it works. It's good for your lungs. Because
Because of the
the
breathing.
whole breathing, the holding your breath
Yeah.
while you're fatigued.
Yeah.
But it certainly wasn't good for my leg strength or
No, God, no. It's non-weight bearing. It's crap.
yeah. But the reason why I was swimming was because I had a bad ankle, so I couldn't weight bear very well anyway.
Yeah.
So
It was better than nothing,
yeah,
essentially.
yeah,
And the same when I did the pool running, but I had to readapt to running on land and get my body used to the
yeah,
impact. So yeah, specificity of training says running is the best training.
yeah,
Right. Also, mimic the course as much as possible in elevation change and also in surface of the grind. And what else? Anything else?
no,
No,
I don't think so. No,
remember, it's not good to have just
yeah,
big pauses.
yeah.
Even if you've just got to say waffly words, say something.
So yeah, no, I don't think there's really much else. Distance wise as well,
Yeah.
if you're training for a fast 10, then it's no point in going out and doing a slow 20.
Well, yes and no. You still want to build some endurance. I would still get people to do, 15, 20 Ks
Yeah,
as their long run, but they'd be doing heaps of speed
it's
work.
focusing on their speed work.
Yeah, that would be the main focus. Yeah, and for their long runs, I mean, maybe do 20 Ks, like, yeah, but because you still need to be fit ultimately. So yeah, and once again, volume is correlated to running success, but there, of course, is the law of diminishing returns. So don't overtrain. We're not advocating for that. Build up safely and keep an eye on that and how your body is reacting. And this is when we spoke last week about listening to your body. This is all part of that. Listen to your body. What's it telling you? Am I ramping up the Ks too quickly? That sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Am I getting niggles? Am I losing my appetite? Am I getting grumpy? Am I tired all the time?
Yes.
Yeah, but
sorry, I thought you were asking me a question.
Yeah. I mean, we're just tired all the time. It doesn't matter how much or how little training we do, does it?
No, it
We're
doesn't.
tired
Yeah.
all the time. I don't know what it is. Is it old age? What
It's
is
almost
it?
like
Right.
sometimes we get to a point where the less training we do, not that happens very
No,
often.
I get tired. The less I do, the more tired I get.
Yeah.
Because I think inaction breeds fatigue as well.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, sitting on your ass. Oh my God, there's nothing more exhausting than sitting on your ass for the whole day. Not that
I
I would
don't. I
know.
was going to say I don't get a lot of that, a lot of practice in that.
Not
So,
since you married me, huh? You used to be good at that, didn't you?
yeah, but I work on my feet all day as
Yeah,
well.
true.
So,
You do. You do. Well, I do kind of sometimes. Not really. I worked at
only
school
when you're
today.
teaching, yeah,
I was working at school today and I'm walking all over the school
yeah.
because they wanted me to pick up, the teachers that aren't there. I'll pick up my notes from staff room 5. I'm like, far right, that's the arse end of the school. And I've got to get back to the stadium. And then, anywho, that's just my issues. And then the door's locked. So I have to slide the notes under the door and it's very annoying. But there we go. Anyway, yeah, so I worked at school today. So that's probably why I'm tired.
Yeah,
But yes, so and that's it, pretty much.
yeah, I think so.
Specificity of
Yeah,
travel. I think we've
just
knocked that one done.
focus on the run that you're about to do,
Yeah,
and really
yeah,
train hard for that
and train hard
particular
for that.
race.
And that's also what keeps training interesting because and that's also why personally I like to train for different races. If you're always training for the same race, then you're kind of always going to be doing similar sorts of
Yeah,
runs. But if you're training for a variety of different races, then you get to train on a variety of different trails
yeah.
and places, and it just makes life more fun.
That's right, because once this race is done, we're going to probably go into a bit more of a
Well, it's going
running.
to be way flat. I'm going to be going
Yeah,
flat because although the Isle of Skye has some undulations, like I've got legs, mountain legs now.
yeah,
I mean, I'll do a little bit still, but it'll be like Listerfield runnable hills
yeah,
probably.
yeah.
And I'm just got to try and get some leg speed back because oh my God, that's the thing with climbing hills is you lose a lot of leg speed.
We've spent so much time walking up the
Hiking.
hills.
Oh my God. If I
Yeah,
ever have to, well, in saying that, I've put my
yeah.
name in the lottery for Tour de Gironde, haven't I?
Which
There's a bit of hiking in that
so, in
one.
other words, once we finish the Isle of Skye,
That's if I get
yeah,
in,
if you get in,
which I will.
um,
Um,
then we'll be back to hiking hills again.
oh no, oh God, have mercy on my soul. Yes,
Hmm.
so yes, we'll see, we'll see. But yeah, it'll be definitely good to do some more runnable stuff because, and I find that I start to get sick of training for that one type of race, and then I'm like, oh goody, I can't wait for the next race. That's why I
Hmm.
like to have another race planned.
Yeah,
And then I can train in a different way. So yeah, mix up your races. Don't always. I mean, I know some people like to do the same old one, but honestly, I think you should do different races. Life's too short to keep doing the same race over and over and
there's
over
a lot of
again.
races out there.
So
If you're
many.
in Australia, there's a lot of races here in Australia. You know,
There is and there isn't.
well, there is if you're willing to travel interstate,
Yes, yes,
which
yes.
there's it's a pretty good excuse to travel
It
interstate.
is, and we enjoy doing
Yeah,
that. So and it's a good excuse to travel overseas.
yeah, absolutely.
Like this Scotland one. So
Mm,
yeah, have a look around. Try and find different races. Go interstate. There's nothing. I know a lot of people they do stay state centric,
yeah,
don't they?
yeah.
And certainly if you're in Victoria, there's not much racing over the winter months.
No, there's very
So
little.
there's very little. So
Mm,
if you want to do an ultra, go do Ultra Adelaide or the Cape to Cape Ultra and Sean's new one, or you know, do some look interstate. There's,
yeah,
to be fair, there's not a lot other than those Adelaide ones. I don't think. I don't know what else there is overseas in the other states
there's
overseas.
there's probably more. You know, getting towards the north of New South Wales, or it's a bit
Yeah,
warmer.
maybe. Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
Probably not much, in the southern part of the state because that's
To
just
be
the same as
fair, you know
Victoria.
what? It's not why we don't have races over winter. It's not cold. I
No,
did races in Calgary. I arrived in Calgary, and like 2 weeks later, I did the frozen ass 50, which was a 50K in snow. And then I also went to Edmonton and did a 50K there in the snow. Like everybody races in the snow, but I don't know. Over here it gets cold and everyone's like, oh, scary.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I did lots of races in the snow, and I'm telling you, it was awesome fun.
And if you race in Britain,
Yeah,
even their summers are like our winters.
that's right. I mean, we're going to be racing, or I'm going to be racing the Isle of Skye end of May, technically summer over
Yeah,
there. I looked up the temperature, 11 degrees.
yeah,
Looking good.
yeah. So,
So,
like I say,
yeah,
their summer temperatures are our winter temperatures.
that's
So,
right. So, I think we've all got to suck it up a bit with the cold. I
yeah.
really think we should, but
Hmm.
that's all me and not loving safety stuff so much. So Anyway, embrace the cold, embrace going and doing different races, embrace the travel. You know,
Yeah,
I did
absolutely.
have a client. I was trying to encourage her to do Ultra Adelaide, and she was like, "Oh, how do you get there?" And I said, "Oh, we drive." And she goes, "Oh, how long does it take?" I don't know. I sleep. So,
8 hours for the
oh,
record.
because she said, "Is it 6?" I went, "I don't know,
Yeah.
6, 8. I'm asleep."
So am I, but we managed to get there
Yeah,
anyway.
we
So
do. The car knows what to do by now.
that's right.
And she's like, "Oh no, well, my partner prefers to. We prefer to fly." And I said, "Oh, Ron likes to drive, and
Yeah.
I just like to sleep." So
Yeah.
it's a match made in
It
heaven,
is.
quite
Yeah.
frankly.
Yeah. Actually,
Except to be fair, your car's uncomfortable
I'm one of
sleeping.
those people that actually enjoys the drive.
I just don't get
Yeah.
that. Oh my God, it bores me. Just going up to bloody Buller, I'm like, I'm bored. I'm bored.
Yeah.
I get bored very easily. So
I actually look forward to the
what
drive to
the
go to
hell
those
is
places.
wrong with you?
Yeah, I don't know. I
And
just
I'm like,
enjoy
what
it.
are you thinking about? Nothing.
Nothing, just enjoying the view, thinking about driving. Just
So boring.
trying to stay out of the way of the trucks. That's kind of important.
Yeah, that's important. Trying to dodge the potholes.
Yeah, that's
That's probably the hardest
yeah. And
part.
when you drive to Adelaide, there is a noticeable difference between the roads in Victoria and the roads in South Australia. It's like the
I can't sleep until we get to South Australia.
yeah, that's right.
Put it that way.
It's like driving in South Australia appears to be driving on air
Yes.
compared to driving in Victoria.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're constantly swerving and
Povo
dodging,
state. We're the
dodging the
Povo
potholes.
state. So
So
yeah. Thanks, Dan.
yeah, yeah. So we enjoy our potholes here in Victoria is an
Yes.
understatement.
Yes, that's it. Well,
That
yeah.
I think that'll be the new number plate.
Yeah, the pothole state.
Yeah, the pothole state.
Yeah, the shithole state, it should be. Oh,
Yeah,
oh, dearie me. Oh, yes, fun and games.
yeah,
Anyway, so yeah, US, then Scotland, and then Italy.
yeah,
We shall see.
yes.
And
So,
all very specific training. So
yeah,
if I get into Tour de Géant, I will go into the training I do. Yes, but
yeah.
anyway, that's to be seen. I'm sending out positive
Yeah.
vibes to the
Watch this space.
lottery drawer.
When is that? Do you know? Do you remember?
End of Feb.
Okay, so we'll know pretty
I got an
shortly.
email today saying that entries, lottery's closed from the
Yeah.
14th of Feb, and they'll send out from the 28th of Feb who got in.
Right. And interestingly, you were
I'm not
entered.
Australian.
Yeah, you were entered as
British.
because they didn't
Because
ask you where you lived; they asked you where you were born.
And I said Scotland, and they
Yeah.
wrote that I was British,
Yeah.
not
So
Scottish. That's
yeah,
offensive.
yeah. Only the Scottish think that.
Well, I think the Irish might too.
Oh, well, the Northern Irish chose to stay as Britain, so
Yes. Oh, well,
Scotland
yeah.
didn't.
Yes. True.
So yeah, so you've been entered in the lottery as a British citizen, not an
Yeah.
Australian citizen,
That's right. So
which you are. But
yes, I'm both. I'm
yeah.
a citizen of both.
Hmm.
So we'll see if that works in my favour or not. Last
Yeah.
time it didn't. I didn't get in when I entered the lottery.
Yeah.
I want to get in, but I also kind of don't because it's €900
Yeah.
that's got to be paid, like before the middle of April and like,
Hmm.
or no, before the middle of March, before I even go away to the States. Oh my God. So it's like, oh, my credit card. Oh, so, yeah,
It's an expensive gig, this
this
overseas
running
racing.
stuff. But, I don't want to go to my deathbed going, I didn't do anything because I was a tight ass.
Yeah.
The money, it will all work out. I've got lots of credit cards. At uni, I had to go to the financial counselor because I'd spent all my credit cards. I'd kept getting credit cards. And I think that's when like credit card interest rates were like 25%. and they had to consolidate all my credit cards, take them away from me and give me a low student loan. And I had to pay them off before I was allowed credit cards again. So it's come full circle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun times. So, then when I was spending my credit card, I was spending that on going out and getting
Yeah.
pissed.
Yeah, that's
So at
right.
least I'm spending it on good things now, not just going out and getting pissed. Yeah, can you imagine that?
Mm,
Far out. What? Anyway, I had fun.
you did.
I had lots of fun.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes. So make sure your training is specific to your race, and you will find the race will be a lot more enjoyable.
Yes.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
thanks for joining us. Next week we'll talk about something else.
I was wondering where you're going with that because I was going, oh, what is next week's going to
Oh, yeah, I don't
be?
know. Maybe give us a review and give us an indication of what you'd
Yeah.
like to hear about.
Yeah.
I think Spotify does a poll. You can put it, in the poll. But rate, review, subscribe. We would love you
It
to.
would.
It means so much to us. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We will catch you next time and have a brilliant week, a brilliant weekend of training. And we love you a lot and we appreciate your listenership.
Yes. Okay.
We do. We love
Yeah.
our listeners, don't
We
we?
do, and we
We
love hearing
do.
from them. We love
Yeah.
we love
We
hearing from
love
them.
it when races and people go, "Oh, we love your pod." We
Yeah,
we get so stoked.
we do.
And like that message from Sandra, I loved it. I took a screenshot of it so I would always have it. I was wrapped. Anyway, all right.
Uh,
Thanks.
okay.
Bye.
Bye bye.